Good morning, afternoon, YouTube. Today is March 10th, and Silver Claws Plants is doing a plant hormones video with salvia cuttings. So, from last week, that shrub with the microclimate branches, it is still alive and healthy, so I took cuttings today. I'm in Zone 9, USDA Agricultural Zone. So what that means is I can take these cuttings earlier than other people in the country because it gets warmer quicker here. Salvia is really adaptable, but if you live somewhere like Northern California or New York, you're gonna want to wait until maybe June or the middle of May because this plant is responsible for not putting out leaves when it's too cold. Because if it does that, then the plant dies. But what's neat about salvia is they have a wide range of distribution. So they sprout all over the world at different times of the year. So in March in Florida, you see the new growth has hair on it. And ideally, you want some of the leaves to be a little wimpy. So when you water it, it has a strong rooting response down here in the nodes. And that's where the growth hormone Auxin turns these stem cells into roots where the plant can survive and get nutrients. So Auxin is a branching hormone. So if you take a node with 2 fresh branches, you're more likely to get roots from it because there's more Auxin, and that's what turns these stem cells into roots that branch out and colonize the soil. So with this salvia, not all of them have hairs. This one does, but plants that have hair on the leaves either do that with all of their leaves or mostly with the new ones, because over time the hairs will wash off on some plants like the salvia. So this is a pretty ideal cutting. This is what I took with these 2 other ones. Ideally about 2 to 3.5 inches in length, whereas this one is not. So I'm gonna snip it. This is the flower spike from last year. So it's kind of a waste of force for the stem. And then, whoop, 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 whoop. So this one's fine because there's not a lot of leaves at the bottom. And that's good because you don't want to stick leaves into the soil because they tend to mush and rot and spread disease. So I'm gonna cut this down a little bit, just a little bit. To make it easier to stick in some shallow soil. So we have the height of the cutting to consider, the placement of leaves, and the selection of fresh salvia can be done with these hairs. I'm cutting some stems now. And this cutting in particular has a lot of leaves. And they have a hormone called gibberellin or gibberellic acid in them. It's found a lot in photosystems, and that's kind of important because it tells the leaves to open up, and if the plant doesn't have roots, then open leaves will dehydrate the plant. So we're gonna cut some of the leaves in half lengthwise on this cutting so it doesn't dry out and turn into a little tumbleweed. And then down here, there's a leaf. Boom. We don't want that. And we don't want a huge cutting either. So I'm gonna cut here. Then these leaves down here can go. So what this is a herbaceous or semi-herbaceous or softwood, semi-softwood cutting, because the stem is still green and flexible. It bends, and it's not like you're taking a cutting of an orange tree where there's this woody branch. It's a small shrub. It's important to note this with all of your plants. If you're taking a cutting and it's woody, you might need to supply growth hormone to it because the buds are dormant underneath the wood. But in this select cutting, the buds are exposed and they can make hormone without that type of shield or protection or barrier there. So we kind of covered two hormones, auxins in the nodes and roots, and gibberellins in the leaves when it comes to cuttings. So that's basically the comprehensive top-down process of taking a cutting and making sure it's healthy, like nursery quality, sterile, and mindful of what you're doing, because it really sucks when you don't know what you're trying to propagate and you kill it because of some oversight or lack of insight thereafter. Well, thank you for watching. This video went a little bit longer than expected, but if you have any questions, I am here to answer them. You can email me at silvercloud_96@yahoo.com, and I'll maybe make a playlist and answer those questions or add to the details of my videos. So thank you so much. Have a great spring.